So I think it's safe to say that even our own fans, and especially a lot of pundits, weren't giving United a hope in that final.
You've got absolutely no chance of winning this game.
But United pretty much got everything spot on in that game in order to bring the cup home, and the celebrations were fitting. After the awful season the United have had, obviously the sense of relief for the fans and players was huge. But how did United do it? How did Ten Hag leave Pep looking like this? And how did we manage to get a City legend actually applauding us? It was a far cry from the approach that we've seen United use for the majority of the season. We didn't leave Pep's team with any spaces like this to exploit. It's almost like we could have done this all season. But what exactly changed? Well, United actually went back to what we did up against City in last season's game. This season at Old Trafford, United were wide open. And then at the Etihad, we lacked any spark in attack to actually hurt this City team. But in the cup final, it just took this game now for United to really find the right balance.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
In the cup final, it was clear that United were happy to let City have the ball out wide, limiting any available space through the middle of the pitch and trying to make sure the danger players of De Bruyne and Foden were simply just marked out of the game and didn't have space to operate in. United were leaving 1v1s regularly just out in the wide areas, but City started with Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side and largely Gvardiol on the left. So that meant United were pretty happy leaving these 1v1s. We didn't have many players that were offering much of a threat to really win those 1v1s and get City in dangerous areas. It was a perfect first half for United, limiting City to something like 4 shots. And you can see what the setup sort of looked like, with 9 United players really crowding that middle of the pitch. And then you can see, I've highlighted Amrabat and Maino on top of Foden and De Bruyne, making sure they didn't have any space to operate in. And these are the 1v1s United were leaving regularly. But when it was Bernardo Silva out on that right-hand side, United were largely happy leaving Dalot just to deal with him. And he did a really good job for most part of that game. And it wasn't until Pep and City made those changes at half-time that it did really start to change the game a little bit. Obviously, in that second half, then he brought on Doku for Kovacic, and all of a sudden then it did help City become more dangerous. All of a sudden they had that 1v1 threat, and United wanted to double up on him, but they didn't want to risk that either, because obviously then you're leaving more spaces for the likes of De Bruyne and Foden then, so it's a catch-22. Aaron Wan-Bissaka did an excellent job up against Doku, but they still had some joy creating chances, and it was largely down that left-hand side for City, and obviously he scored one himself as well. But this is what he was doing. All of a sudden then, City had someone who could back United into their own box, and then you can see it meant that Amrabat was dragged across. That meant more space in the middle of the box for the rest of the City team, and that was when they started to create them, get those chances, and definitely had some dangerous moments in that second half. Again, here, you can see Doku pushing Wan-Bissaka right into almost his own 6-yard box, and then Man City almost get a chance again from it. These are the type of situations that Man City weren't doing anything really with in that first half. But obviously for once, United managed to hold on, and we actually managed to win that XG battle, which doesn't happen very often with United this season.
Yeah, you can say that again, pal.
I can't help but think how different it would have been if Pep actually didn't go that conservative approach and didn't play Kovacic and Rodri in midfield from the start, and he actually started with Doku, but we're never going to know. United overall did an excellent job at limiting that central space for City and forcing them out wide, and largely forcing them obviously to not the best opportunities. You can't say that for many games United have played this season, but in this one, it was spot on, and fair play to Ten Hag. In attack, United were excellent in that first half, keeping hold of the ball when required, weren't just giving it straight back to City. We were very calm and composed. That midfield of Maino, Amrabat and McTominay, they were excellent at passing, carrying. They evaded that City pressure largely, and obviously having Martinez back in that team as well did help massively. Playing out from the back now, having some confidence with it. We haven't seen that for large parts of the season. We also took full advantage of the wide areas, getting Garnacho in behind that City defence, just causing havoc to that high line the City like to use. We know the City like to sort of sit in that narrow space, obviously leaving the 3 centre-backs back there. And then you're playing in that sort of shape-orientated press rather than player-orientated. And Gvardiol largely was blissfully unaware of what Garnacho was doing in behind him, and United took full advantage of that. You can see here with City, the three centre-backs that they've got in there, Gvardiol, Ake and Stones. Walker was pushed up a little bit further up the pitch in order to try and press United. But once Amrabat takes that backward pass, then Rashford has made his run. He's offside. But look at Stones' position. He's still not, obviously, in that line with the rest of the City back line. Gvardiol is focused on more of what's ahead of him rather than what's behind him. Another Dalot, sort of a really good long ball, gets Garnacho in behind, and then obviously you create that sort of havoc and you create the carnage that led to that first goal. Obviously United did get a bit of luck from it, but obviously the play the United did to get Garnacho in behind, you obviously make your own luck sometimes, and that's what United did. For the second goal, this was just the pièce de résistance. This was the main bit of United's attacking play that it was just excellent. You can see it yet again. City, sort of that back line, focus on more on what's in front of them. That false nine that Bruno had causes that little bit of havoc as well. But Garnacho, you can see him. Gvardiol is more focused on what's in front of him, not looking at Garnacho and behind him. Rashford's excellent long ball obviously sets Garnacho away. Then you've got City's back three then trying to run back scrambling. Walker's left flat-footed. But this Wan-Bissaka run really did set everything apart. He's the one that drags Ake away. Bruno Fernandes in that false nine wanders into that space then. Not many players in world football can pick out that pass that he did to Mino, and obviously the rest is history. United are 2-0 up, and then City are massively on the back foot in that game. And when you watch this goal in real time, obviously it's just a masterclass from United. All round, the Rashford pass, the Wan-Bissaka run, the Fernandes pass, the Mino finish, absolutely top-notch goal for United, and fit in to win the FA Cup final with. It was exactly the blueprint that you used to hurt this City team. Obviously in the second half, understandably, United became more cautious. We started to kick it long to McTominay. We started obviously to kick it long to Højlund when he came on the pitch as well, using him as that target man to hold the ball up. We retreated more and more back to our own box, and City had more of a foothold. But United survived, and we brought that cup home, and that's all that mattered. I mentioned it. United actually won the XG battle for the change. Ten Hag did provide a masterclass in this one. It's been not the best of seasons for him, there's no doubt about that. But everything he did in this game up against City was spot on, and the players responded. Don't think there was a player that performed less than a 7 out of 10. Spot on from us, brought that cup home, and there's not much better feeling than it. Even a couple of days later now, still a feeling of bringing that cup home is such a good feeling for any United fan right now. Let's just hope we've got more in the future and more masterclasses like this, whether it's Ten Hag or someone else in charge.